Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you haven't.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Peachtree dish.
In Venezuela.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? It's Friday. TGIF. It is, the week is over, just about. Last show of the week. We're gonna have some fun. Welcome. If you haven't already, please like and share the stream. We're gonna have fun today. We got a lot of different stories. Of course, we've got Marjorie Greene having a little bit of a kerfuffle with some activists. That should be a lot of fun. We have Alex Jones already going after a judge. We have death panels. Yes, real death panels. You're not going to be surprised. Republican idea. So we're going to go through that because, oh, look, you have that Republican candidate that is now running in New Hampshire. To unseat a Democrat, or I'm sorry, not to unseat, but to go after a Democrat running against Democrat. We also are going to talk about Tomi Lahren. Thinks that she is the victim of terrorism. And then Dave Rubin is doing a tough guy arc. That's fun. We're going to talk about that. Oh, lots and lots of fun. All right, so with that, why don't we dive in to Marjorie Greene embracing her inner Karen. All right. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene became unhinged when she was challenged over guns. Now, during an exchange that went viral, Santiago Meyer, the executive director of the Gen Z led Voters of Tomorrow organization, confronted Greene about her opposition to anything that would help increase the levels of gun safety in this country and, stop allowing students as well as people that are shopping in a random grocery store, prevent them from being gunned down. Here's what happened. Here's part of that exchange.
You're a coward is what you
How
are.
am I a coward?
You know what?
You're the one running away. You're the one running away.
No, gun rights protect people. That stops people from...
Oh, yeah, what does gun rights do for all the kids who keep getting shots in school? How am I a coward? Representative Greene,
You're scared of guns.
Am I scared of guns?
You're scared of legal gun owners that want to protect their kids in school. Shame on you.
How? Shame on me?
Yeah, go move to another country where they take away your guns.
Yes, If you don't like getting murdered in your own school, why don't you just leave the country? Just pick up and go. Yes. Look, that is the typical, of course, chud response when you try to point out not just the gun issue, but pretty much any issue in this country. We're like, you either like it the way it is or you leave. You're not allowed to change anything because I will be mildly inconvenienced. Oh, you want to talk about being mildly inconvenienced? What about being shot? That sounds like a little bit more than an inconvenience, especially, of course, if it's your kids that end up getting shot. And by the way, talking about Uvalde, for example, which is one of the more, I guess, well-known, but not most recent examples, of course, because there's a mass shooting almost every day in this country. Not being able to identify your child because their face was blown off by an AR-15 round. Unrecognizable. So yeah, that's a little bit more of the minor inconvenience here. A little bit more than that, all right? But look, understand that their perspective is one of involving a massive amount of entitlement. Again, you have people who just, have suffered through mass shootings, who have been injured, or have lost family members, or watched their friends literally die right in front of them. But here's Marjorie Greene, a member of Congress, saying, go pound sand. I don't care about you. All I care about is my hobby. I just want to keep my hobby. So why don't you leave and you do something else? Go somewhere else. No. I don't agree with that. But that said, before we get into that a little bit more, it gets worse because Marjorie Greene went even more Karen.
The Second Amendment, how does the Second Amendment prevent gun violence? You're the one that believes that insurrection
Step out of the way, please. You're blocking a member of Congress. Excuse me, ma'am. You're blocking a member of Congress. You need to stay away. You can't block members of Congress. You literally cannot do that. We're literally unpaid.
I have a question. I was in Boulder during the Colorado shooting at the supermarket where 10 people were murdered down the street.
You know what? I support people to protect themselves with their guns, okay?
What did you say to the children that keep getting shot?
Murder is illegal. Murder is illegal.
No, you know what? Shouldn't Americans have the right to go to the grocery store without having the fear to be murdered?
Americans should have the right to protect themselves. Gun-free zones is where people die.
Okay, so look. Obviously, earlier in that video, you saw a congresswoman pretty much stepping on the girl in the blue dress, possibly even kicking her from behind to try to get her to get out of the way. Get out of my way, lib. How dare you impede a congresswoman? Please get out of here. Oh, was she not walking fast enough for you? Why would you want to walk so fast away from people that are just asking you questions? Gee, I wonder why you wanted to get the hell out of there as fast as possible. How dare they call her out on her stance? And again, throughout the whole thing, she's telling people, leave the country if you don't like it. She also cites a misinterpreted report claiming that gun-free zones, those are the things that kill people. Really? Gun-free zones kill people, not the guns? Weird. I've never seen a gun-free zone shoot someone and again make them completely unrecognizable, their corpse. Never seen that happen. Oh, but no, it's the gun-free zones that are the real problem. No, in reality, of course, the thing that she cites is from economist John R. Lott's Crime Prevention Research Center. And you've been hearing this, and she said that 98.4% of mass shootings happened in gun-free zones. So that's why gun-free zones kill people. Actually, no, that's not the reality. And so there's a lot of issues with that talking point. For one, again, mass shootings are not the most prevalent type of gun violence. There is, in fact, no shared definition of what a mass shooting is. But the real issue is just gun violence overall. In 2020, for example, 54% of all gun-related deaths in the United States were suicides, numbering 24,292 deaths. 43% were murders, 19,384. Of the 43% of murders, 79% of them were done with guns. And there seems to be an issue with gun violence in this country. Again, a lot of murders, but even more suicides that might not have happened had they not had access to a gun. Saving lives, right? But look, let's go into what's more poorly defined than just what is a mass shooting, because again, there is no statistically agreed upon definition of what a mass shooting is. And so, along with that, is you have a very poorly defined definition of what a gun-free zone is. So Noah Lott, in his study, first basically came up with his own definition of what a mass shooting is. He counted every single incident where one person had died as a mass shooting. Okay, so again, that seems pretty broad, but even more broad is what he defines as a gun-free zone. Here's an example. Lott said that places where only military or police policy are classified, places where it is illegal to carry a permitted concealed handgun, places that are posted as not allowing a permitted concealed handgun, places where general citizens are not allowed to obtain permits, or where permits are either not issued to any general citizens or to a very tiny selective segment. So then, by definition, for example, the White House, where there are literal snipers on the roof, that is considered a gun-free zone. Military bases considered to be gun-free zones. Places where there are lots of guns just happen to be considered gun-free zones. Weird how that works. That data set obviously is so incredibly broad that you have places like, for example, the Fort Hood shooting and the Washington Navy Yard shooting. He defined those as being gun-free zones. Again, places where there are literally guns everywhere, gun-free zones. Places where there are police officers, gun-free zones. So to claim that, again, 98% of all mass shootings happen in literal gun-free zones is not at all accurate, because, again, there's no shared definition of both these. So basically, you can just spin it whatever the hell you want. And in this case, they're spinning it as, see, gun-free zones. They kill people. They kill people. No, you know what kills people? Guns. That's what kills people. Okay? People in possession of weapons use those guns to kill other people. That's what happens. But again, you have Marjorie Greene and the rest of the right-wing media who take that report and they spin it. And the reason they do so is so that, for one, Marjorie Greene doesn't have to give up her hobby of shooting weapons. And also, most importantly, doesn't have to give up her money. She gets paid by gun manufacturers. A lot of them do. Groups like the NRA. And they just let the gun manufacturers do whatever they want. Sell as many guns as they want and give guns to as many people as they want. Because, again, when you have so many guns, it creates more fear because everybody has guns. There's more shootings. There's more fear. Then they sell more guns. And so for this, again, more mass shootings, they like it when there's more mass shootings or just more normal shootings, because then that justifies the existence of their own rhetoric. So this is a self-perpetuating cycle of endless violence and death. And it's ironic coming from people who claim to be pro-life. No, she's not pro-life. She doesn't care about protecting people, doesn't care about protecting Americans. She, again, just cares about herself, her own power, and money. I think I'm pretty clear on that. Moving on, let's go to Alex Jones. It didn't take long for Alex Jones to already begin attacking the judge presiding over his latest defamation trial. In fact, here he is on Steven Crowder's show calling her a Soros-funded judge. Take a look.
They'll sue you in the jurisdiction with a judge assigned to take control and who's a political operative. This lady's a Soros operative, admits she has her own, Facebook. They will then pick the judge, sue you, and then for years say, we want your discovery, and each time say, this isn't it. We want more. We want your bank accounts. We want the emails. We want the text messages. And then when you give them everything, they say, you're defaulted. You didn't give us anything. And now they go and have a jury trial on how guilty you are.
Does he not understand how discovery works? Does he not understand what that is? It's literally where they ask for your records of anything that is related to the case. Again, in order to find out and to figure out what you're going to owe in financial damages, they're going to need your financial information. They're going to need everything that you have, all of your assets, your bank accounts, etc. That's not asking for more and more. They keep asking for everything. Yeah, they kind of have to. Again, that's discovery. These are related. These are important documents to have on hand in order to make a good decision, or the right decision, I should say. But of course, Alex Jones doesn't want anyone to have those records, doesn't want anyone to know how much he makes, how much money he has, how many assets, because, well, if they find out actually how much money he has, well, then he's going to have to pay more in damages, you see, for his defamation. So, that said, let's get more to the judge, which he again calls a Soros operative. Oh, she admitted it. She admitted it on her Facebook. Well, really? Well, they get more into that in the next video.
You said Soros operative. She admits it on her Facebook. That's the kind of stuff where people will say, well, she doesn't say I'm a Soros operative. What do you mean by that? Because that's the kind of thing the media will take out of context and say, Alex Jones says that she said on her Facebook she's a Soros operative, and that's not true. Therefore, everything else he said is
well. If you go there, she's got purple blue hair and has all these Soros funded PACs on the site, and she gets money out of the PACs that are funded by Soros, just like the Austin DA is famous for letting people that shoot people out of jail the next day.
Right.
Like up here in Fort Worth, I mean, there's over 1,000 DAs and county attorneys that Soros literally bankrolled.
Yes.
And they take, well, Austin is a Soros bastion.
Right.
And so judges are elected there. They're financed by these PACs that he funds, and with a bunch of other money. But I mean, you can actually go dig that out.
Yeah, I know, but she didn't say I'm a
no,
Soros
you're right.
operative. Just because the media will, that's the kind of stuff.
She did not say I am a Soros operative. You are correct.
Right, and you don't know if Soros paid for her blue hair dye. We cannot confirm nor deny, but we'll assume so.
We'll assume so. Pay for the blue hair dye. I'm funny. I'm Steven Crowder. I'm supposed to be a comedian, but I say like nothing but stupid / racist things, and have clowns like Alex Jones on. Okay, well, sure. But look. Interestingly enough, there was a tiny little smidge of pushback on the claims that this is a Soros-funded judge. He said, whoa, that's actually not true. We don't know that for sure. Now, this is because, Steven Crowder cares about factual information. No, it's really, I think it's because he wants to protect Jones from screwing himself. Because Alex Jones cannot go 5 minutes without punching himself in the dick when it comes to these defamation cases. I mean, again, he's literally incapable of not attacking the judges and blabbing about the case, which he probably really shouldn't do. Again, while he was on, in the trial, trying to figure out, the damages there, because he was already found guilty of defamation because he just declined to do discovery, right? So this is all default judgments, right? Couldn't even defend himself because there is no defense. But in between, he'd go on and he'd talk about, the judge is a pedophile. It's a deep state cabal. You know what I'm saying? And she's really coming after me. So that's where you need to go. And need to go to the InfoWars store and need to go buy some Instahard. Okay. The only thing that's going to get me through this difficult time on InfoWars is if you buy some Instahard. Okay. You got to have it. Dick Force Plus, Instahard, Brain Force, Brain Dick, all of it. You just got to buy it all, okay? Buy it all. It's going to help me out, okay? I mean, again, ridiculous. But look, that gets to the major point of this. Alex Jones doesn't care. He does not take any of this seriously. By the way, that's why he keeps losing. He doesn't take it seriously. And not only that, but he, again, wants to sit there and basically sabotage himself. I don't know, maybe in order to create sympathy or get more donation. Obviously, there's getting more donations. But look, I listened to the Kelly Jones interview that, on yesterday's TYT show, right? And she's like, no, this is who he is. He's not an actor. He's crazy. Like, he's crazy, but he's manipulative and just a generally bad person. Now, again, I know like divorce and all that stuff can be like really, really dirty, things like that. But again, Alex Jones, I do believe it because he seems like that kind of guy, that he is that kind of deranged. So like maybe not crazy as in, I don't know if he believes in all the stuff that he's saying, but crazy as in I'm, a very manipulative person who's going to try all sorts of ways in order to make money, in order to get this, in order to get people to do what I want, which again is to elevate me, spend money on my business, buy my crap that I know doesn't work, but I don't really care. And so I can, manipulate my way and, screw my way to the top. I don't know. Maybe, but all I know is that this is not going well for him. Again, yeah, just not going well. Just not going well. Alex Jones pays for... Who pays for porn? This really shows how tiny some men's brains are to believe that some shit called Dick Force or believe that shit will work from... To be fair, I made up Dick Force. But I didn't make up Instahard. I'm just saying.
Tallywhacker.
Tighten up my meat. I like my meat tight.
Okay. Anyway. Let's go to a little bit more serious story here. Let's talk about death panels. Hey. Isn't that great? A New Hampshire Republican candidate wanted literal death panels to be convened in the case of where an abortion is required to save the life of the mother. So now this is Republican Robert Burns, who recently won a Republican primary to take on Representative Annie Kuster in November. Custer, not entirely sure how that is pronounced, but nonetheless, Burns calls himself the only pro-Trump unapologetic conservative. And of course, he ran on, the normal Republican culture war issues, for example, no gun control, and we need to ban critical race theory. So, of course. But what's interesting is his current stance on abortion. Like a lot of Republicans, he has recently come out with a bit of a softer stance than the 100% pro-life, saying, "Oh no, I'm actually fine." Like, well, first, obviously, the right decision was to get rid of Roe v. Wade, right? But then saying, "Oh, I'm fine with a 15-week abortion ban." So I'm fine with abortion up to 15 weeks, and then we can ban it. So basically, the Lindsey Graham plan. In fact, he told local news station WMUR in December 2021, having Roe v. Wade is not necessary. 15 weeks is more than enough. Did you talk to any doctors about that? And with modern contraception, the amount of people after that point needing abortions is microscopic. Again, sources needed, please. Cite your sources. Now, that said, here's this quote on that. "I'm for reversing Roe v. Wade, but I'm not for restricting birth control. And there should be a system in which, when you have a life-threatening situation, it's a heartbeat for a heartbeat. I don't believe a mother should die because of that. Well, gee, how magnanimous of you. That you would make sure that they don't die." Now, that said, like a lot of Republicans, he had actually a harder stance on the issue just a couple of years ago. In fact, in July of 2018, Burns claimed to be 100% pro-life from conception. In an interview on Public Access with State Senator Kevin Avard, Burns said that he supported exceptions to an abortion ban when the life of the mother is at risk. Oh, how kind. But proposed that a panel be assembled to decide whether a pregnant person actually had a legitimate reason to get an abortion. So, wait, let me give you the quote here. The problem is when we start using life of the mother, life of the mother absolutely has to mean, and I've talked about this before, you need a panel to look at it. Not because, like, my life is going to change or psychologically I can't handle that, because fuck mental health, right? Because this is what they try to put in there. Absolutely, there's a few cases where, in fact, it is life or death. A woman comes down with cancer and she can't get chemotherapy without having an abortion or what have you. In those cases, I believe we would need a panel in this sort of situation. Panels. Where, a group of unelected officials can come together and decide what kind of healthcare procedure you are allowed to get that could potentially save your life. Or if you don't get it, if they don't agree, then they'll let you die. Well, what would that be called? I'm trying to understand. What could we call that? Oh, right, I got it. Death panels. It's a death panel. Again, this is a literal case of life and death. Oftentimes, when the fetus is not going to survive anyway. And look, there are more than just a few cases, microscopic cases, where an abortion can save the life of the mother. No, there's plenty of cases. And look, think of some of the horror stories that we've talked about before in places where they have banned abortion, like in Texas, for example, but did allow for the exceptions, right? Well, it turns out you still have an issue there because doctors are afraid to do these procedures because the laws have to be poorly written, vaguely defined. And so you have these doctors that are like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I could lose my license. I could get thrown in jail. I could be fined. I could lose everything. And I know this person needs this procedure. And before this law, I could do this procedure and save her life and it would be fine. But I can't do that now. My hands are tied. Again, there was a case where a woman was bleeding profusely from this, pregnancy that was not going to be viable. And the doctor's like, I can't do it. I know what I have to do, but I just, if I do it, I'm going to get charged with doing an illegal abortion. I just can't do that. And so, look, that's a huge problem, okay? That is the horror story. And we, again, are hearing all these stories from all across the country in places where these trigger laws and these bans have gone into effect. Now, going back to his death panels, he refused to give any information on this, any details back then. Again, this panel would determine whether a woman deserves access to a procedure that could save her life, but we don't know who would be on that panel. What would it be made of? Who would choose the members of the panel? How long would the panel take to deliberate? Would there be an appeal process? As you're sitting there lying on the table dying, could you do an appeal? And how long would that take? What's the kind of required paperwork to fill out in order to do such an appeal to the panel? These answers, nobody has answers to these questions. And it's incredibly messed up to sit there and think, oh, yeah, no, we need to create panels, death panels in this country. Remember when they yelled about death panels, when they talked about Obamacare? Obamacare is going to create them death panels. Don't you know? Sarah Palin. Not true. Not true. But here we have a Republican candidate saying, oh, yeah, death panel sounds great. Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. Look, what they're doing, again, is going back to Republican arguments against any sort of federally funded health care. Well, here's a situation where Republican politicians, the government, is taking life and death decisions out of the hands of doctors and putting the government, sticking big government right up into it, right in the middle. Look, and by the way, in some of the states where we have seen abortion bans, we've already had panels that have started to form. Hospitals have reportedly, according to the New York Times, enlisted special panels of doctors and lawyers to decide when a pregnancy can be prematurely ended. Imagine. And this is already happening. So for half of America right now, you don't have to imagine. It's literally happening, where your doctor has to consult a lawyer while you're dying, while you're sitting there bleeding on the table. Can we do an abortion here? Can we actually do healthcare? Can we do our job? Ooh, I don't know. You might not want to. Got to clear it with the lawyer first. All of that takes away from the precious time that they could actually be doing, saving lives, doing their job. Absolutely disgusting. But here's the thing, right? These people call themselves pro-life, which, by the way, interestingly enough, as I've reported many times before in recent weeks, you have Republicans that are like, oh, did I say I was pro-life? No, we're going to back away from that, actually. I mean, I'm still pro-life, but, I don't want to ban abortion completely. No, I've never held that position before. No. They're not pro-life. It's never been about life. It has been about control the entire time. And by the way, the pro-life movement in politics, well, that's also another way that Republicans have used to trick voters into supporting them. So that when they get into office, the Republicans can just cut their own taxes and the taxes of their donors. The whole movement was basically just based on greed. Who would have known? All right, let's go to the next story here. Let's talk about Republicans doing human trafficking. Yeah. Recently, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis shipped several planes filled with South and Central American immigrants to Martha's Vineyard. In what is the latest attempt to own the libs, Republicans are engaging in human trafficking. DeSantis, of course, joined along with Greg Abbott, who back in April actually sent about several buses filled with migrants, different cities, Washington, D.C., New York, and Chicago, in order to make a political statement. Again, all of this is political ploys. DeSantis sent these migrants out of Florida to specifically go to Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts in the hopes that, of course, the arrival of these migrants would throw the area into chaos and own the libs, as well as fire up racists in the base. More than 9,400 immigrants have been dropped off in Washington since April, and a number that does not include Thursday's arrival, as well as more than 2,100 have been sent to New York, and of course 50 had just arrived in Martha's Vineyard. Now, what's sick about this, again, is that here we have Republicans doing trafficking, using human beings as political ploys and props, as well as lying to them and using them. Many of these migrants say that they were lured into getting on the buses because you can't literally force them onto the buses. They were lured in by the promise of relief that was never given to them. As of August 9th, Texas spent over $12 million in taxpayer money to bus migrants to those different cities. Arizona spent about $3.5 million to transport migrants to Washington, D.C. And so they're spending all this money, using all these resources for no reason. Just to, again, do a political stunt. Why would you not use the money to help migrants? Well, that's because they don't want to. So, look, getting back to the relief here for a second, some of the things that were promised were actually, it's not just handouts, it was work permits, allowing them to make money and work legally in this country. So understand that these people, they want to work. They want to earn money. They want to live. They want to survive. They want to send money back to their families. And so they got on these buses saying, oh, we're going to get a better life somewhere. You're going to send us someplace where we can work and support ourselves and our family, live the American dream. Wonderful. I'll get on the bus. And then, of course, they get out and it's like, oh, we actually tricked you. There was nothing waiting for you here. We just wanted to create a huge problem for someone else. It really is incredibly disgusting. Now, look, a lot of these, again, migrants that came from Venezuela. So wait, Republicans, I thought you hated Venezuela, right?
In Venezuela.
I thought, you know, you're always talking about how Venezuelans they're so poor. We care so much about these poor Venezuelans. They're eating dogs and they're eating rats. We need to help them. Now, of course, by help them, bomb their country and take their oil. Understand that that's really what the Republican plan for Venezuela is. It always has been. But no, Venezuelans, they need some freedom. We need to bring them freedom and democracy and liberty and prosperity, you know, through our exploitive capitalism. Well, here's the thing. These people came from Venezuela. They came here in search of freedom. Why do you not want to help them? Very strange, Republicans. Why are you not looking to help them, Greg Abbott? Why are you not helping them, Ron DeSantis? Now, to be fair, in Massachusetts, that has a Republican governor, Charlie Baker. He actually is helping them. But I'll get to that in a few minutes, right? But no, the reason that DeSantis and Abbott don't want to help them is because they're brown. They're brown people. We don't like it. We don't like them. Now, that said, I understand that there's a crisis at the border. Sure. But here's the thing. Republicans don't actually want to solve the crisis. The only thing that they want to do is, again, build giant stupid walls and hire more border agents, hire more ICE officials. In reality, if you want to fix the problem here, first, I mean, obviously, the quick fix is to increase the number of border judges, okay, so that they can hear these cases, they can hear the asylum cases, or they can send people back, by the way, that, you know, are not people who are requesting asylum or people that might have a criminal past and things like that, you know, just following our own laws. But they could process these people far quicker and get the people who, you know, should be here into the country faster and reduce that line. But they're not doing that. Republicans do not want to update our incredibly outdated, slow, and dysfunctional immigration system because they like that it's dysfunctional. They like that it's broken. They don't want people in here. They want brown people out of the country, and specifically out of their backyard, and to send them somewhere else. Now, that said, Martha's Vineyard, I'm actually really heartened by this. They did welcome these people with open arms, despite how they were sent with absolutely no warning. In fact, Dylan Fernandez, a state representative currently serving in the Massachusetts House, representing several districts, including Martha's Vineyard, said this: "These immigrants were not met with chaos, they were met with compassion. We are a community and nation that is stronger because of immigrants. The community coming together with water, food, interpretation help, and resources to support these families represent the best of America." And I want to also show you this video. This is a local official speaking with CNN about the crisis.
How tough was it to absorb 50 migrants without any sort of sense of where they were coming from, what they needed?
It was very last minute, and it was very tough initially. They came very quickly, 50 individuals. We were notified within 2 or 3 hours we had this set up. The the outpour by the community, the graciousness with regard to food, clothes. Within the first 12 hours, it became so enormous we had to tell them, just cease, stop. We have too many supplies, too many gifts, too many donations. There's been tens of thousands of dollars donated. The outpour was tremendous, and it showed a lot from the island community.
What does it say about Martha's Vineyard and the towns here?
It says sometimes we're alone and unafraid out here, but we understand the path to travel, and we understand that we're a community that ultimately wants to help people, and they had their first and one stop on the island. Who knows, maybe they'll come back, but again, they saw the graciousness of this community.
And obviously immigration is an issue for the country, it is an issue, but you can absorb this sort of stuff. Would people from Massachusetts and Martha's Vineyard be happy to do this if there were a coordinated way in which it happened?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, if there was a more coordinated way, great. And by the way, those migrants, again, there's 50 of them. They were sent, again, somewhere else afterwards, after they were given the basics, to be able to find help, like, for example, immigration lawyers. Okay, that's good. Again, that is something that will ultimately help them in their bid to stay in the country. Wonderful. So look, that ended up being a little bit of a positive, but understand that these people are still being used as political tools. Again, Ron DeSantis paid a videographer in order to capture footage of them to, I don't know, are they going to use it in a campaign ad? I don't know. Maybe. While Fox News, again, literally had a reporter on scene in order to cover it. That was the most important news of the day. Oh, look at these migrants, scary migrants. No, they're not scary. They're human beings. They deserve to be treated like human beings. And again, I am happy to see that there are communities that are welcoming them with open arms. We should be doing so. But look, there has to be a bigger solution here. And that's getting Congress to fix our immigration system. So that, you do have border states that don't get overwhelmed, because I can understand how communities can be, for sure. And then, unfortunately, as a result of that, some of these communities vote for reactionary anti-immigrant politicians, as well as, people in Congress who then will refuse to actually fix the problem because they like the problem. No, what we want is that people coming in to have real chance at making a good life for themselves and their families. That's what we want. We want them to add to the country. Immigration, again, is not only good for the economy, but also good for the culture. It enriches our country in so many different ways, and we should be far more welcoming of it. But first, we have to fix our points of entry to make them, again, more efficient to allow the people in that we want in. And again, when it comes to Republicans, they're never going to do so. Because remember, the people that they want in are only white people and no one else. Okay. Literally, there is no such thing as freedom of speech on a fucking private platform. It's ridiculous. Like, you're a fucking moron. Sorry, it's dumbass in the chat. My First Amendment rights have been broken by some private person on a YouTube video. Shut the fuck up. Not how that works. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Let's go to a real, not a real freedom of speech story, but nonetheless, let's go to Tomi Lahren. Tammy. Tomi Lahren is claiming that she was the victim of terrorism after students decided to protest her speech. Local news station KRQE recently reported that roughly 100 students had protested against Tomi Lahren's talk, which was put on by Turning Point USA. That was supposed to happen, or that actually did happen on Thursday evening. It's reported that the protest had, quote, even made its way into the building, with Lahren speaking just behind the doors. Ooh, they got to the doors. Writing on Twitter, Lahren alleged that the students had tried to break into the room where the speech was being held. Campus terrorists showed up at my UNM speech tonight, and UNM did not care. They shoved officers and tried to bust down the door to the speech room. These colleges are unbelievable. They don't care about the safety of conservative students or guests. Sickening. Okay, for one, I don't believe her. If that were the case, if they were literally pushing cops and trying to break into the room to violence, right? How come there were no arrests? There were no arrests reported. Again, you had the University of New Mexico police and the New Mexico State Police that were on scene during the protest, and there was no reports of any arrests or violence. Yes, they were loud. Yes, they were annoying. But violent? No. Again, I say that because, look, there's nothing that police have historically shown us more than they love to do than cracking the heads of college kids. I mean, you all remember Officer Tony Baloney, right? I'm not kidding. That's his real name. The pepper spray guy, the pepper spray cop. Oh, there were so many good memes about that guy. That's generally what they like to do to students. That didn't happen in this case. There wasn't violence. Okay? And so, look, the university had put out a statement about, protecting free speech, etc. But here's the thing. Her free speech was not infringed upon. She was still able to give her speech despite the protests. But here's the thing. I will offer one little defense of Tomi, and that is, of course, after I make fun of her. Terrorism. I'm sorry, but being interrupted is not terrorism. Again, it's annoying, but it's not terrorism. That's not how that works. Understand, though, in her little world, any inconvenience that she may possibly face is blown 100% out of proportion. Did I say 100%? I mean 1,000% out of proportion. She called people protesting terrorists. No, she's a Karen. That said, let her speak. There's no need to really protest her. I mean, again, I know she says hateful things. Okay, I get it. But understand that you empower these people more the more you give them negative attention. She craves the victimhood. They all do. That's why these conservative groups go to college campuses. They want the reaction. They want this so that they can sit there and claim that they have been victimized, marginalized by the schools, by the leftists. And that unfortunately does resonate with some people who listen to that and say, oh yeah, free speech. No, if anything, what you should do is bring on a progressive speaker. There are so many wonderful, intelligent, progressive voices you can bring onto campuses to talk about these issues, to rebut the things that Tomi Lahren talks about. Instead of giving her what she wants, present a counter to her ideas, okay? Don't focus on her. Focus on fighting her ideas. You have to make them look like clowns by exposing their terrible arguments and how they're not people who care about facts and about improving, people's material conditions. They just care about themselves and their victimhood. Point that out. Point out how actually intellectually and rhetorically weak they are. That's how you defeat them. All right, moving on. It appears Dave Rubin has embraced his inner tough guy and had threatened to murder teachers if they decided to talk about gender to his children.
Just imagine. I mean, I've thought about this. So now Justin's 6 years old. He's in first grade. Imagine if I found out that actually for 3 months, there was a teacher talking to him about gender or sexuality, maybe calling him Justine instead of Justin, and I didn't know about that. I might kill that person. That's where we're at, right? So unless you don't want these people killed, and I mean this somewhat flippantly, like they want to abuse children. They want to abuse children. That is abuse. I don't mean that as overt sexual abuse, but it is an abuse of a child.
What are you talking about? Child abuse. Child abuse. No, here's what happened. Dave Rubin made up a weirdo scenario in his head and then got mad over it. That's what happened. Why do conservatives keep doing that? Again, they will prop up the straw mans that are incredibly scary and then cry. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. But it's not. Literally. I can guarantee you there's no rash of teachers that are attempting to transition your child into a different gender. That is not happening. That is not a real thing. Now, if you want to have a little bit more of an accurate scenario with what's happening to little Justin or Justine, is that perhaps they have always felt this way. And they maybe have confided into in a teacher that they feel is that they can trust. And that, I actually maybe don't feel like a Justin. Maybe I'm a Justine after all. And I would like to know from your experience, since you are an adult that I trust, how do I deal with those feelings in a positive way? Now, I know maybe some people are asking, why would you talk to a teacher about that? That's not something that generally teachers are supposed to talk about, right? Well, understand, I just mentioned it. Teachers, for some, are considered to be people that you can trust in a position of authority. And perhaps those teachers, if allowed to, can direct these students to places where they can get help and accurate information to help them, right? So that's not child abuse, okay? Child abuse is when you force a child to be in a closet, to be ashamed of who they are and what they are, and not allowing them to express their own identities. You would think that Dave Rubin would actually know something about that, being a gay man himself. But as you can see, it appears that money has a way of making you forget certain things, forget who you are, I guess. But I want to talk about later, as well as these fake bravado. Well, I'd kill that person. I'd kill him with my bare hands. Whoa, we got a badass over here. All right, calm down, killer. I don't want to catch them hands. No, look, I think that, by the way, is the new way that Rubin is trying to keep his conservative audience engaged. To do the fake bravado for attention, for clicks, and of course, cash. Lots and lots of cash. Look, if that's all it was for, by the way, okay. If that's all you were doing is just trying to say clownish things to get attention and clown yourself for money, dance, monkey, dance, right? But unfortunately, what he talks about has real world implications that are dangerous, especially when we're talking about LGBTQ plus children who have high rates of suicidal ideation. And when you say things like that, when you try to prevent people from having these discussions, from kids from being able to confide in these teachers and to get assistance and try to figure out what to do, that puts them in real danger and also makes them feel incredibly unwelcome, as if you were not valid at all. And let me show you an example here of Dave Rubin and his audience trying to make these people not feel valid, and while pushing conspiracy theories.
Elizabeth says a lot of activists are pushing for puberty blockers on children, and some are even saying that everyone should be placed on them until they can decide which gender they want to be. I know that sounds nuts, but that's actually true. How can we put a stop to this kind of insanity? Should the parental rights education bill in Florida be adopted in other states, or is that still not enough? Look, that's a start. That is a start, but it is not enough. So first off, of course, every state should model the Don't Say Gay bill, which
every state should model the Don't Say Gay bill. I'm Dave Rubin. I have such high-level ideas. No, you don't. First of all, the Don't Say Gay bill is an anti-gay bill. Okay? That's just a fact. Yes, it is making sure that kids do not feel welcome in school. LGBTQ plus kids do not feel welcome in school, should not be able to discuss who and what they are and why they have the feelings that they have, or to get any sort of help. It's ridiculous. But now, going to the puberty blockers thing. Wow. No, that's not true at all. Nobody's pushing puberty blockers on children, okay? What they're allowing is trans children to take them as part of gender-affirming healthcare. That's it. There's no, again, there's no surgeries that are going on when it comes to children. There's just this for people, again, who don't know if they want to transition into the gender that they believe that that they identify with. Okay. Nobody is forcing, and I love the Elizabeth, if that's a real person, right? And you know what? Maybe that person is real, and maybe they've been following libs of TikTok a little bit too much. But no, nobody is saying that there are activists out there that want to force every child to take puberty blockers. No, that's not what's happening. That's not real. They literally, again, made that up. And that gets to the point here of how it just must be really, really easy to be a conservative pundit. Especially, again, if you're Dave, which, you know, you're gay, or you're probably soon to be ex-gay. Let's be honest, that arc's probably coming. Don't know when, but eventually he'll pull a Milo Yiannopoulos when he wants to make more money or get more relevant. But no, what they do, conservative pundits make things up. They get scared by the things that they have just made up, or angry, and then they sit back and profit. Hell of a grift. Hell of a grift. I mean, congratulations, Dave. Even your lazy ass found something that you can excel at. Great, but unfortunately, you are harming other people. You are harming children in doing so. Okay. Anyway. That's all I got today. Thank you for going around the nation with me today. Really appreciate it. Let's go here to YouTube Super Chat real quick. We have one. So let me just go and open that up real quick. Ray Riley says, Marjorie Greene's head is a brain-free zone. Oh.
Peachtree dish.
And why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated.
I still don't understand if they're doing that on purpose. Marjorie Greene saying gazpacho police, and then you had Lauren Boebert saying wonton killers. What are they doing? Did they just, are they, I don't know. Are they like hungry before they go to speeches? Oh yeah, wonton killers. Gazpacho. Fragrant. I don't know. It's wow.
It's not a salami sandwich. It's a viable baby in the womb.
And there's the salami sandwich. That's a good one too. All right, so let's go over to Twitch here. Thank you, Ray, by the way. Jay Villain, thank you for subbing with Prime. Appreciate that. Cerberus Alpha Gaming, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub to It's Just Vegas. And to Torch Crimson, Drip Alert, thank you for resubbing for a month of Tier 1. Appreciate that. And Hunger Games 1989, thank you for resubbing for a month of Tier 1. Appreciate that. 9 months for Jeff and the whole Waldorf Nation. It's been fun with all the chaos. Glad we created this Waldorf baby because abortion is illegal now. Yeah, we're pro-life around here. So pro-life, we've got death panels. All right. Anyway, thank you for going around the nation meet today. Thank you for all the super chats and all the Twitch subs. Appreciate that. If you want to help us more, you can always go and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/Waldorf. That. Everybody, why don't we raid, do a Twitch raid here into, let's just do a source raid. Screw it. Just do that. For everybody else, please like and share the stream. Check out our videos, of course, that are going to go up later on the YouTube channel if you missed any of the segments of the show. And like and share those too. Very important that you do so. Everybody else, have a great weekend. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Love you all, and remember, change begins with you. Good night, everybody.
Sexual anarchy. Get in a long tube with a bunch of bees.
Oh yeah.
Tighten up my knee.
There's some horns in this guy.
Testicles.
Disappointed!
Obama.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Bitch, move it